You're listening to On the Record Online with Eric Schwartzman, where reporters and journalists go on the record about how they use the internet to cover the news. For the latest trends, tips, and tactics on how the web shapes popular opinion, subscribe to our RSS news feed or visit us online at www.ipressroom.com.
Legendary public relations professional Howard Bragman, founder of Bragman Nyman Cafarelli, goes on the record about why he got back into the business with his new firm, 15minutes.com. You mentioned TiVo, and you mentioned, I guess, the shift from appointment-driven to on-demand news consumption. How can PR stay competitive in an on-demand media consumption world?
It's that much more important. Like, for example, one of my clients is a guy named Phil Rosenthal who created the show Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't care when you watch it. I don't care if you're watching it on syndication or you're watching it first run on CBS. For me, I'm concerned that you know who the creator is and that we get his messages out. And operating in that world that I'm not operating in the network world where I have to push the show and say you have to watch it at 8:30 on Monday nights. It's not like that anymore. So it's very different for me.
Don't be left behind. Get the latest online PR tools and services from iPressroom. Powerful, easy to use, available on demand. Extend your sphere of influence online with iPressroom, tools for online media centers, virtual private press rooms, RSS news feeds, podcasts, and more at www.ipressroom.com. iPressroom, always on, even when you're off.
We are podcasting live with Howard Bragman. He is the founder of Bragman Nyman Cafarelli, which is now one of the largest entertainment PR firms in the world. It is owned by Interpublic Group. And he has just launched a new firm called 15minutes.com. I am pleased to have him with me on this podcast.
Couldn't be happier to be here.
So now, tell us about 15minutes.com.
Okay, well, I sold BNC, Bragman Nyman Cafarelli, about 4 years ago, and my contract ended about a year ago, and I took some time to myself. And I realized I liked PR, and when I left BNC, I wasn't doing PR anymore. I was running a company, which is very different than doing PR. I was dealing with lawyers and human resources people and everybody but journalists and publicists. And I really realized a lot of people started coming to me, and I really realized I loved doing PR. So it's very much a boutique agency by design. I'm not trying to get big. I'm not trying to sell it. And I just have a handful of clients that I love, that I work with, and I'm very results-oriented, very senior-oriented, i.e. you don't sign me as your PR person and get an intern who's working on your account.
Now, I noticed the name of the firm is .com. Tell us why.
No, it's not really .com. That's how you can find me, just as a marketing thing. The name of the firm is really 15 Minutes, but 15 Minutes Inc. if we want to be technical. But I just put the .com so people can find me. I'm sort of a bad marketer of myself, which is sort of by design. Most people who come to me know me, or it's referral business. I mean, I'm lucky. I have a $16 million company, Bragman Nyman Cafarelli, that markets my name every day many times. So I'm able to get a lot of business just because people know who I am and what I've done.
Now, Howard, you have a tremendous perspective on this industry, having started before the internet came of age. How do you see the integration of the web into all aspects of PR impacting our industry?
I taught PR for a lot of years at USC, and I taught entertainment PR. And it is a wonderful quality of life issue. It's wonderful because what used to be you'd send out a press release to, 100 journalists, and then 2 days later or a week later you'd call up, did you get the release? No, I didn't. We'll resend it, fax it. And now everything is instantaneous. Communication is quicker. And my life is totally enriched because instead of assembling press kits, you can throw a press kit on site, and really my focus is now in the results and the work as opposed to the admin and the paper shuffling.
Now when you say results, One of the ways that PR has always been so different than advertising is in measurement. I mean, information is the lifeblood of the advertising industry with Arbitron and Nielsen. Do you see these new technologies like media monitoring and media relations software as putting PR on par with the advertising industry, or do you see it potentially marginalizing the PR industry to the world of events?
Well, first of all, I don't think in mainstream commissionable advertising the results are always what they say anyways. I think there's a lot of controversy over, i.e. Nielsen ratings. I don't think the results bring into account TiVo. I don't think the results measure product placement / product integration. So before I talk about PR, I think you have to understand in the commissionable part of the marketing world, there's some big flaws that are getting bigger every day as media usage change.
Now you mentioned TiVo, and you mentioned, I guess, the shift from appointment-driven to on-demand news
Right.
consumption. How can PR stay competitive in an on-demand media consumption world?
It's that much more important. Like, for example, one of my clients is a guy named Phil Rosenthal who created the show Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't care when you watch it. I don't care if you're watching it on syndication or you're watching it first run on CBS. For me, I'm concerned that you know who the creator is and that we get his messages out. And operating in that world that I'm not operating in the network world where I have to push the show and say you have to watch it at 8:30 on Monday nights. It's not like that anymore. So it's very different for me. You know, I'm more concerned with creating the association and the quality association.
Now, just generally speaking, how well do you think the PR industry is making use of technology to spread the word for its clients?
Oh, I think the PR world is doing an awfully good job of technology, better than mainstream advertising. I think web advertising is something that 99% of us just sort of scoot over with our eyes as we go to a website. It's hard to take it real seriously. I never thought advertising alone was enough, and I don't mean to trash advertising because I think media relations is only one tool, and it needs to work with advertising and the rest of marketing. I think advertising on the web has to be meaningful, but PR is innately meaningful. But there's a downside there, and when I taught college, I always told my students that information on the web is like what cotton candy is to food. You know, there's a lot of it, but when you reduce it down, you got a pea-sized nugget, and it may or may not be something meaningful. So I think you've got to be more aware in PR of Marshall McLuhan, which is consider the source, and the medium is the message, and really understand where you're placing your stories.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much for stopping to talk to us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
You've been listening to On the Record Online with Eric Schwartzman, where reporters and journalists go on the record about how they use the web to cover the news. For the latest trends, tips, and tactics on how the web impacts corporate reputations, subscribe to our RSS newsfeed or visit us online at www.ipressroom.com.